This is the best thing about every AFL team. Kicking things off, we have the Adelaide Crows. Now, I believe the best thing about the Crows is their young and up-and-coming talent. They have got a lot of young guns in their side and they are already pushing for a contender for the flag this year. Players like Isaac Rankin, Jake Saligo, Max Michelani, Riley Thilthorpe, Darcy Fogarty, Sid Draper, Dan Curtin. The list goes on for Adelaide. What's there not to like? They are going to be pushing for flags in the next few years. Don't be surprised if they win one in the next 3 or so years. The Crows are going to be scary. Now for the Brisbane Lions, I believe that their best thing is their ability to swing momentum in games. We've seen it multiple times recently, the Brisbane Lions swing momentum heavily. Most recently against the Cats, they were down 5 or 6 goals and managed to come back and get the win. We saw it also last year in the semi-final against the Giants. West Coast this year had a good start against the Lions, but the Lions were able to fight back and get the win. And also even in the grand final last year, they turned it on, swung the momentum back and smashed the Swans in the end. Now next up we have the Blues. Obviously it's been a rough start to the year, but their spine, I believe, is still their best aspect. We've yet to see Curnow and Mackay play together this year, and if those two are healthy, fit and firing, alongside Walsh and Cripps, and then their backline with McGovern and Wiedering and De Koning in the ruck, I think their spine can get Carlton back into contending for a flag this year. I know they're 0-3, I know they've lost to Hawthorn, to Bulldogs, and sadly to Richmond, but I think their spine, if they're healthy, they can get them all the way to contending for a flag this year. Okay, so next we have my team, the Collingwood Football Club. And for us, I'm going with our atmosphere and crowds at games. Now, I could have gone with Nick Dacos because of how young he is and how good he is, obviously. Could win the Brownlow this year. But I think our atmosphere and crowds is just amazing. Every game, even if it's against Gold Coast, you know our fans are showing up. We bring the atmosphere, that Collingwood chant, it just rings around the country. And yeah, atmosphere and our crowds, I think, is our best aspect. Okay, so now for Essendon, I think Essendon's best thing, I'm going to give their fans a lot of credit here. I think they're very loyal. It's been over 20 years since they last won a final and their fans are still sticking strong. They still turn up to every game, usually have good attendance at all of their games. With a win over Port Adelaide recently, maybe there's some bright signs for the future for Essendon fans, and I do have a soft spot for them. So their loyal fans, I believe, is their best thing. Now for the Fremantle Dockers, I believe their best thing is their retro Guernseys. With the retro green and red on their Guernseys, the 3D anchor Guernsey, there's so many good designs that Freo have worn recently. I think it is great. It brings back some history from the Fremantle Football Club, and I would love to see them permanently bring back the red and green. I like how they're sort of bringing it back now, but don't have it just as retro. Bring it back permanently, but I still think that is their best thing. Now we have the Geelong Cats. It's been a disappointing start to the season, I believe, for Geelong, starting 1 and 2, but I still believe that their X factor with their players is their best aspect. Players like Jeremy Cameron, Patrick Dangerfield and Bailey Smith all have that X factor about them, and if they can get going, well, Bailey Smith certainly has. I think Jeremy Cameron does need to lift. Dangerfield's had his good moments as well, but if they are all going together, the big X factor for Geelong, I believe that is their best aspect, and I believe that is what is going to get them another flag. Now we have the Gold Coast Suns, and wow, how good is their midfield? I think that is their best aspect. Matt Rowell, Noah Anderson, Took Miller, Sam Flanders, Those four right there are all stars of the competition, I think it's safe to say. I think Anderson or Rao could win a Brownlow in the next 5 years. I think Flanders is definitely an All-Australian smoky for this year. And Took Miller a couple of years ago got close to winning a Brownlow as well. So Gold Coast, their midfield, I think if they're not playing finals this year, I'm really going to be shocked because that midfield is just unreal. Okay, now we have GWS, and I've gone for a bit of a fun one for this one. I think we can all agree that their theme song is the best thing. It just gets you hyped. It's not a traditional footy song. It's sort of like this, sounds a bit Russian for some reason, but it just gets you hyped. It's almost like a song a UFC fighter would walk out to or something. I really like it. The Giants theme song is their best thing. Now we have the Hawthorn Hawks, and I think it is safe to admit that their ball movement is their best thing. From defence to forward, Hawthorn's ball movement is electric, and when you have players like CJ, Jarman Impey, D'Ambrosio, Dylan Moore, Nick Watson, it is just so exciting to watch. It's like the old Hawthorn we saw about a decade ago with Rioli in there, Puopolo. They had a lot of run and carry, and I think they're bringing it back for sure. Hawthorn's electric ball movement is definitely their best aspect. For the Melbourne Football Club, I've gone with their mascot. I think their mascot is really creative, really cool. I wanted to do one mascot at least for this video, and I went with the Melbourne Demons. Super creative mascot. The D's have had a rough start to the year, but they'll still always have their mascot. Yeah, I wanted to go with the mascot. I chose Melbourne for that. Now we move on to North Melbourne. I believe that their best aspect is their logo. Recently, I did a video ranking every logo in the AFL, and North Melbourne's, I believe, is the best in the league. If you want to see more of my thoughts on that, the video will be in the description below. But yeah, it's just a fierce logo. I like the colouring. I like the font in the logo. Yeah, it's great on Guernseys. It works well. North Melbourne's logo is the best thing about their club. Now we have Port Adelaide, and I think it's safe to say that Never Tear Us Apart is their best aspect. It gets you hyped for the games, even if you're not a fan of the Port Adelaide Football Club. Even if you're a Crows fan, you gotta admit that brings a lot of excitement to the match. And yeah, it is really iconic. Now we have the Richmond Football Club. I believe that their bright future is their best aspect. 6 first-round draft picks in 2024. Wow, that is incredible. And I think they are set to really rise in the next 5 to 10 years and could be pushing for premierships yet again. Now we have the Saints. We have another pretty funny one here. I've gone with their social media team. I know you might be thinking, why not the Giants? But I think the Giants are a little bit cringe at times. I think St Kilda do their social media perfectly. I think it's very funny, it's entertaining. Yeah, St Kilda's social media is their best thing at the moment. For the Sydney Swans, I have gone with their run and carry. It all starts with the lizard from halfback, and then you've got Chad Warner through the midfield. I just love to see them run and carry, and I think if they can bring that back a little bit more, I think Sydney could go back up to contending for a flag. They've started 1 and 2 at the moment, but there is still some exciting signs for the Sydney Swans. Just bring back that run and carry a little bit more, and they can push for a flag. It's pretty dark at the West Coast Football Club at the moment, but it's obvious that they do have a man that could save them. Harley Reid, I believe, is their best thing at the moment. It's been a little bit of a rough start for Harley Reid at the moment, but I think if he can get going, and I do believe he will be able to get going, I think the West Coast Eagles can rise again. Harley Reid, I believe, is their most exciting player, most exciting thing around the club at the moment. I think if Harley Reid can find some consistent form, it will really be exciting for the West Coast Eagles. There are rumours that he might leave, but for now he is their best thing going for them. Now for the Bulldogs, I've gone with another player for this one. It is key forward and sometimes ruck Sam Darcy. Wow, isn't he a bright sign for the Dogs at the moment? I think he's the primary reason why they're doing so good at the moment. He can mark the ball in the air. He can kick off his opposite foot perfectly like a midfielder. And he's a great set shot kick. He can kick a bag when he wants. Right now, Sam Darcy for the Western Bulldogs could be an All-Australian at the end of the year. That might be a big call. But look at Sam Darcy. He is just a gun. I think Sam Darcy will be a multiple All-Australian in the future. And right now, he is the best thing going for the Western Bulldogs. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you guys want to see me doing this again, but doing the worst thing about every team, leave a like, comment below, and subscribe to the channel. We'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.